I pick her up from the side of the road. She smells like sweat and old fruit in the heat. She says she's not a prostitute. She's just looking for a ride east. I tell her I'm not looking for a prostitute. She grins, bares her teeth. Never said you were. We ride in silence. I say I'm headed east as well, to the coast, that she can stay with me as long as she needs to, but that's where I'm going. She nods, says she's going in that direction anyway. The AC is broken in my car, and we drive with the windows open, sweat beading on her top lip, her forehead as black locks of hair stick to her face. She sings sometimes, half completed melodies, songs I recognize, songs I don't. When she forgets the words, she just hums, letting the tune slowly die in her throat. We spend the evenings together drenched in heat, drinking in bars, watching old movies on motel TVs, lying on synthetic sheets holding cold bottles of beer against our cheeks. It's unspoken, but after a week, we stop booking different rooms, share a bed. After the first time we have sex, we're lying in bed, and she says there's something inside me. It crawled inside me when I was a girl, and I can't get it out. She gets real serious when she says this, frowns in a way I didn't know her face could, pulls her lips together. I can see the tension, can see the fault lines her usual expressions play across, and fall silent. She says it's eating her alive, that it squats in a pool of her bile and beer and last night's room service, and that sometimes it steals her voice, steals it right from her throat and changes her, uses her words, throws them back up and out her mouth. Says it weighs on her, carrying this thing, and that it's like a parasite. We drive a little longer, taking our time, having sex and arguing, and playing cards on plastic tables by the side of the road. She tells me about her childhood, her parents, her sister who ran away and came back with a boyfriend and half her teeth missing. She tells me she never drinks before midday, that she can play the violin but hates the sound of it, that once she was bitten by a snake and she shows me the scar. She lets me run my hand over it, the pale knot of skin halfway up her calf. I tell her why I'm going, why I had to get out, why I hope to find on the coast. We talk of the ocean, salt spray and boats, thin clouds over a black sea, fresh fish and lemon. She mimes picking the bones from her teeth. I watch her fingers, long and tapered, the ends of her nails ragged and chewed. Sometimes we lie in bed together and she'll rest her forehead against my back and whisper things like, I think you were made for me. I think this is how it was always meant to go. And this is where I was always meant to be. Some days she can't get up, says nothing, lies in the fetal position in the motel bed staring at the wall. Says she doesn't want to eat or drink, and I find things to keep myself busy. I take long walks, find a bar, read paperbacks with yellow pages and broken spines on dirty deck chairs. I swim in pools that are too chlorinated, pools that make my eyes sting and my skin pucker, pools that turn a neon blue in the midday sun. She says whatever crawled inside her was dark and hungry, and that all she can do is feed it. But that most of the time, she's so tired of being a host that she can't do anything. The days spent in bed come more and more, and sometimes now it's the whole week. Her knees drawn up to her chest, and I'll come in to find her with her forehead against the wall, or the floor, or so drunk she vomits hot bile onto the pillows. Sometimes when she's like this, she'll say things that make no sense. She'll say that maybe there is no thing inside her and that it's all her and it's all her brain. That gray lump of matter spasming and seizing in her skull. Sometimes she'll just say that she thinks there's nothing inside her, that she's hollow and empty like a doll. I tell her I think I love her, that I think I loved her from the moment I picked her up. And she says I thought she was a hooker, that I wanted to screw her and give her money, and that I hate her, like I probably hate all women. Says that if I could find it in myself to love her, then I could find it in myself to love anyone, like a sick dog shivering on the roadside. And she says that's what I am, a dog who stinks and follows her around and whines at the sound of thunder. She spits, misses. She tells me as I drift off to sleep on a pillow on the floor as my bed that she's sorry, that she didn't mean it, that whatever crawled inside her took her voice. A week later, she's dead. I find her in the bathtub, and instead of slitting her wrists, she slits her belly wide open, like a second mouth, the incision red and clean. For a while, I don't do anything. I study the condensation on the mirror, the faint pink of the water, listen to the drip of the tap. The locals verify my alibi. The wounds are clearly self-inflicted. The police are done with it all pretty quickly. They can't find her family. We have a small funeral, me and the woman at the check-in desk, who smells of lavender and holds my hand and tells me that she was so pretty and you obviously loved each other very much. And even though the words don't mean very much, I appreciate just that someone is saying something to me. That night I cannot sleep. It's too hot. The covers stick to me. The heat feels invasive under my chin, licking at my back, between my fingers. And then I hear it. Motion. Scrabbling from somewhere. The lights outside barely illuminate the room, but I can suddenly see it. A dark shape pressed into the corner of the room. Between the ceiling and the two walls. So many legs I can't count. A shape darker than a shadow that moves like a giant insect. Spasmodic, twitching. I can do nothing. Can only watch as it crawls along the ceiling and as it draws closer to me. The faint light from the window illuminates some of it. The dense fur of its body, the eager twitches of its mandibles, its eyes glossy, its whole body shivering in anticipation. I can do nothing but lie still, mouth open in a silent scream as it lowers itself slowly from the ceiling. The gossamer thread glistens in the half-light. The thing wriggles, settles on my face, and it's so heavy, like it's made from iron. And I can feel its legs all around me, and its body slowly forcing its way into my jaw. And there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do but lie there and let it force its way in until I see its final legs disappear down my throat, their bristles and hairs making my mouth burn. I wake up in the morning. A bad dream, I think. Whoever's inside me now is hungry. I try and smoke it out, buying a pack of cheap cigarettes, smoking one after the other and flicking the butts into the shimmering blue of the small pool outside. But the thing thrives on smoke. I try to drown it, sinking beer after beer in a dive bar, blinded by the tacky signs and mirrors. Shirt sticking to my back is so hot. I drink so much the world staggers, tries to find its footing but can't. And then I'm out on the curb, retching. And I can tell the thing inside me has soaked it all up, turned all those hops into fat and sustenance. And after this has failed, and I know it's growing fat in my belly, I stumble back to my motel room and try to beat it out. I smash my forehead against the wall until I see spots of light and taste iron. And when they break down the door, my whole face is swollen. And I'm telling them that something crawled inside me in the night and I can't get it out. I can feel it stir in my stomach, something heavy and black. Can feel it readjust itself. Away from the shaft of light, I imagine my throat cast whenever I open my mouth, like a spider in a bathtub, all joints and blinking eyes. I'm disgusted by myself, by the idea that this thing lives under my skin and sleeps there, wet with my bile and warmed by my blood. I move back home, at least to what passes for home. I never make it east. When I retrace our route on a map, I can see that we moved in lazy circles, never really going anywhere, happy and content with the idea of motion, but not its consequence. Whatever it is inside me smothers me. Sometimes it stills my voice and says things I don't mean, but that sound like me. Mean and spiteful things. It nips at my tongue and pinches my lips, and I can feel it shaking against the inside of my teeth. It makes a nest with the guilt and purrs, lays eggs and cares for them. I can hear it click with glee when I don't make it out of bed. When I lie there until my head hurts from dehydration and my skull begins to feel like a membrane, it sinks further into me. So I drift. I am baseless. I try and pretend that I have nothing under my skin, that it is just flesh and blood like everyone else, but I think people can see through that. The bags under my eyes, the dirt on my clothes, the way my face never comes to rest. Sometimes I think people can see it shifting inside me. People stop and stare on public transport, watching these limbs press against my skin from the inside like tent poles, and I'll have to try not to cry out. I think I can spot others with something inside them. Their silences, admissions, eyes that move too slow. We say nothing to each other, scared that if we acknowledge whatever's inside one another, we'll acknowledge whatever is inside us, and then it will be real. And there will be nothing we can do about that. The colors bleed from the world around me. Everything leaks, drains. They become brittle and shallow and nothing. There is no moment of realization. There is no moment where I am cured. I attend meetings, talk to people, listen, hear about what crawled inside them, how they feed it, what their darkness eats and likes and thrives in. Sometimes people will not come back. They will say things the last time I see them, like thank you, and it has been a pleasure, and live well, and that I won't see them again until till I attend their funeral weeks later. I learn what it likes. I learn how to feed it, how to coexist. There is no grand victory. There is no moment where I realize that to flush it out of my system, I must face it head on and learn some great truth about myself. And I will emerge from this chrysalis a better and more thoughtful man. There is nothing redemptive about it, no realization I am offered. Instead, I learn to capitulate, when to let it have the upper hand. And some days that's exactly what happens. It stills my voice and my energy, and all I can do is lie on my side and drool on the pillow. But some days, I learn how to keep it quiet. It retreats into the dark places inside me, hides a while. And when that happens, I take my time. I take long walks. I remember her name. I drive to the sea and sit so close I can taste the salt in the air. And think of that girl, that night, on that road.